Picture this. It's a random Tuesday. You check your account and there it is. $1,000 that you don't need for rent, for food, or for your phone bill. $1,000 that is finally actually yours. And for 1 second, it feels amazing. Then the anxiety creeps in, because now you have to do something with it. So you open YouTube or TikTok and the noise hits you instantly. Turn $1,000 into $100,000 with this one trick. This coin is about to explode. This penny stock is the next Amazon. And on the other side, an equally unhelpful voice says, just leave it in savings and wait. So you freeze. The money sits there for another 3 months, earning basically nothing while you wait to feel ready. Here's the truth. Your first $1,000 is enough to start. But it's also the exact amount most people waste chasing shortcuts or lose to fear. My name is Max, and on this channel we talk about money without the hype, without the shame. If you've got a $1,000 and you just want to do this the smart way, hit subscribe and give this video a thumbs up. Let's get into it. Let's start with something that might surprise you. Your first $1,000 is not about picking the perfect investment. I know that's what everyone tells you. Find the right stock, catch the next big thing. But that's not the game. Your first $1,000 is about building a system. It's about turning yourself into someone who invests calmly, consistently, automatically. Because here's what most people don't realize. The biggest difference between people who build wealth and people who don't isn't intelligence. It's behavior. And behavior is exactly where beginners lose. Fear, excitement, ego, impatience. Studies of everyday investors consistently show the same thing. The average person earns far less than the market itself, not because the market did poorly, but because they bought and sold at the worst possible times. So this video does 2 jobs. First, the simple plan for your $1,000. Second, how to avoid the psychological traps that quietly destroy beginners. But before you invest a single dollar, ask yourself one question. If an unexpected expense hit you tomorrow, would you need this money back immediately? Because if the answer is yes, investing might not be step 1. And this matters more than you think. When financial stress hits, your brain does not calmly analyze long-term returns. It screams, I need cash now. Psychologists call this loss aversion. We feel the pain of losing money about twice as intensely as the joy of gaining it. That's the exact emotion that makes beginners panic and sell at the bottom. So before we invest, we protect ourselves from ourselves. That brings us to a simple tool, the 3-bucket framework. Think of your $1,000 as water you can pour into 3 buckets. Bucket 1, safety. Bucket 2, high-interest debt. Bucket 3, actual investing. Let's walk through them. Bucket 1 is safety. If you have 0 emergency savings right now, the smartest first move might be putting that $1,000 into a basic high-yield savings account. And I know what you're thinking. Max, that's not investing. But it is. You're investing in your ability to stay invested later. Because the number one reason people sell their investments early is that life forced them to. A car repair, a medical bill, a surprise that lands on a random Tuesday. A small cushion means those surprises don't blow up your future. Bucket 2 is high-interest debt. Here's something that sounds boring but is genuinely powerful. If you're carrying credit card debt at, say, 24% interest, paying that down is one of the best investments you can make. Think about it. The stock market historically returns around 10% a year on average. But paying off a 24% credit card is like earning a guaranteed 24% return with 0 risk. No stock can promise that. So if you've got high-interest debt, your first $1,000 might go there. Not because investing is bad, but because you're trying to fill a bucket that has a hole in the bottom. Now let's assume the good case. You've got a small safety buffer, no urgent high-interest debt, and you can leave this money alone for a few years. Now finally, we invest, and I'm going to be blunt with you. Your first $1,000 should not go into individual stocks, meme coins, or whatever your cousin is hyping at dinner. Could you get lucky? Sure, but that's not investing. That's gambling with extra steps. The smart approach is almost boringly simple. You buy the entire market at once, at the lowest possible cost. For most beginners, that means a broad index fund, a total market index fund, an S&P 500 index fund, or a target date fund. Here's why this works. An index fund doesn't try to pick winners. It just owns hundreds or thousands of companies at the same time. Instant diversification. And here's the part that breaks people's brains. The professionals, the people who do this full-time for millions of dollars, mostly fail to beat a simple index fund over the long run. So if the pros can't beat the market consistently, you and I picking stocks on a Tuesday night probably won't either. Doing less is the winning move. So what does this actually look like? Step 1. Choose the account. The general order is this. First, any employer retirement match because that's free money. Then a tax-advantaged retirement account. Then a regular brokerage account. Use the most tax-efficient option you have access to. Step 2. Choose one fund, just one, don't overcomplicate it. A broad index fund or a target date fund, which is basically a pre-built portfolio that adjusts itself automatically over time. Step 3. Invest the $1,000. Many brokerages let you buy fractional shares now, so the full $1,000 goes to work immediately. Step 4, and this is the real secret, automate the next contribution. Because the $1,000 is not what makes you wealthy. The habit is. Let me show you what I mean with real numbers. Say you invest your $1,000 once and never add another dollar. At around 7% average growth, in 30 years that becomes roughly $7,600, not bad for doing nothing. But now watch what happens when you build the habit. Take that same $1,000 and add just $100 a month on top. Same 7% return, same 30 years. You'd end up with around $122,000. Here's the crazy part. You only contributed about $37,000 of your own money. The rest, roughly $85,000, came from growth doing the heavy lifting while you slept. That is the difference between a one-time bet and a system. Now, a quiet warning. There's a silent killer that eats returns, and almost nobody pays attention to it. Fees. Some actively managed funds charge around 1% per year. Many simple index funds charge around 0.05%. That gap looks tiny, almost laughable, but over decades it compounds against you. On a long time horizon, that small difference can quietly cost you tens of thousands of dollars. So keep your costs low. Boring, low-cost funds win. Now you might be thinking, okay Max, but what if I invest my $1,000 and the market crashes the very next week? Great question, and here's the honest answer. It might. Crashes are normal, they've happened dozens of times. But here's the key insight that calm investors understand. If you're buying consistently, a crash isn't a disaster. It's a sale. When prices drop, your monthly contributions buy more shares at lower prices, which often leads to stronger returns when the market recovers. Long-term investors don't fear downturns. They quietly take advantage of them. They're thinking in decades, not days. So let's bring it all together. The simple plan for your first $1,000. If you have no emergency savings, build a small buffer first. If you have high-interest debt, knock that down. If you're clear on both, put the money into a low-cost broad index fund. Then automate your next contribution even if it's small. And above all, keep it boring. Keep it consistent. Most people never invest their first $1,000, not because they can't, but because they keep waiting for the perfect moment. But the people who actually build wealth don't rely on perfect timing. They rely on better systems. So here's your challenge. In the next 24 hours, do one thing. Open the account. Move the money into a buffer, or buy that first index fund, or just set up the automatic transfer. Because one day you'll look back and realize the money wasn't the biggest thing that changed. You were. If this helped, hit subscribe, drop a thumbs up, and tell me in the comments. Are you investing your first $1,000 or building your buffer first? I actually read these. See you in the next one.